What's up? Welcome up to your Buckeye Rush Hour for a Monday, September 11th, 2023. How's everybody doing out there? Hey, hop in the phone lines, hop in the chat, give me your thoughts. We can talk just about anything you want today. I'm going to focus on some recruiting, in-season visitors, the five-star, all everything movie star Jeremiah Smith was on campus. Mylan Graham's on campus, double five-star wide receivers there. We're going to talk about Nicholas Rodriguez, current Missouri linebacker commit. Buckeyes have been working on to try and get a flip there. So call in with your thoughts, and we can talk quarterbacks. Question for the chat: why don't you grade the quarterbacks? Give me a letter grade. Kyle was what? Devin was what? Did anybody miss seeing Tristan Gebbia? That's not a serious question. So yeah, phone number is scrolling above me, and it's also in the description of the video. The number is 305-224-1968. The meeting ID number is 832-6987-4780. And the passcode is 986016. So pop in there. Love to hear from you guys. And I'll keep an eye out. You'll come into a waiting room when you call in, and I'll have to admit you to the show, but we'll get you right through. All right. So let's talk some recruiting. Jeremiah Smith, Mylan Graham, hanging out Saturday at the game. Jeremiah had the monster night, Friday night, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns for Chaminade-Madonna prep. Then boogied his way up to Columbus. They spent most of the afternoon together in the stadium. So he did make the trip with his mother and his younger brother. So usually that's important when mom comes along for the trip, you know. So Florida State, Miami, Florida, all the in-state Florida schools are trying to make inroads with Jeremiah Smith's family. They're all telling this, they're pushing this narrative that Brian Hartline won't be around at Ohio State long enough to coach Jeremiah. So, you know, the same kind of shit they do with Larry Johnson, only with him it's retirement rumors. But with Hartline, he's going to take a job elsewhere, like a head coaching job, or he's going to go to the NFL and coach or something. So all the in-state schools are working on his family, working on him with these narratives that have no basis whatsoever. So right now the things with Jeremiah Smith and the Buckeye staff are as good as ever. So there's no concern whatsoever from the Ohio State coaches. So he will be back on campus for a visit late October when Penn State comes to town. So that's going to be a monster weekend. I would expect to get a commit or two out of some of the guys coming in for that weekend. I can get you that list here in a bit. And it's always going to change, you know, week to week. So let's talk linebacker. Nicholas Rodriguez from St. Thomas Aquinas, down also from South Florida. He plays on the South Florida Express team with Jeremiah Smith. He came in back in June for an official visit, but the Buckeyes really didn't try to push for his commitment because they're waiting on announcements from KVA, Kingston Viliamuasa, and Edwin Spillman. They made their decisions, obviously not to come to Ohio State. So we're pushing for Nicholas Rodriguez, a 6'1", 215, 3-star linebacker from STA down in Fort Lauderdale, currently committed to Missouri. Ohio State has stayed in contact with him. So that means James Laurinaitis is leading that recruitment probably. And so we got a return visit this past weekend. He came in for the game, and Buckeyes are very interested in flipping Rodriguez, and there's legitimate interest from Rodriguez as well. So keep that in the back of your minds, and we'll see what happens. It could be a late decision, a late flip coming there. I'm not sure how you choose. The state of Missouri does have that weird NIL law where the kids can get all the money up front. You know, they don't have to take it over a time period or anything. So anyway, all right, let's talk about some Buckeyes in action this weekend, some not in action. Aaron Nolan was on a bye, but Tavian St. Clair, the 2025 four-star quarterback, he won. That was Friday night, I believe. They beat Benjamin Local 48-18. He was 14 of 16 through the air, 279, and 4 touchdowns. Big night for Tavian. TSC, as we're calling him here. Four-star St. Thomas Aquinas running back Jordan Lyle. They beat Cocoa Friday night, 37-36 in a nail-biter. He had 10 carries, 67 yards, 3 TDs, though, and he also had 3 receptions for 13 yards. Back to the Buckeye State, 3-star Pickerington North running back Sam Williams-Dixon, SWD, you know me, beat Pick Central on Friday night, 39-34. He had 97 yards on 14 carries. Let's talk wide receivers. Like I mentioned earlier, Jeremiah Smith, the 5-star from Chaminade-Madonna Prep. They beat Bergen Catholic out of New Jersey, beat the piss out of them, 61-21. Jeremiah goes off, 16 catches, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, was pulled early in the third quarter. They said, no more. Great game for Jeremiah. You might want to check out the channel here. I posted some of his highlights, I believe it was Saturday morning. And also Mylan Graham and some Jeremiah McClellan highlights. I think I posted those too. Anyway, also New Haven, Indiana, 5-star wide receiver Mylan Graham. They beat Leo on Friday, 42-41, 8 catches, 145. 3 touchdowns. He had a long of 65 yards, Mylan Graham did. That dude is fast. Next up, 4-star St. Louis Christian Brothers College wide receiver Jeremiah McClellan. They beat University High School 49-14. Jeremiah McClellan had 3 TDs, 61-yard touchdown catch and run. He added 2 rushing touchdowns from the Wildcat quarterback position. Also had a defensive touchdown called back due to penalty. This was all in the first half. It was an eventful half. So they rolled. He has 7 TDs in 3 games, Jeremiah McClellan. Tight ends. Let's talk 4-star Max LeBlanc from Baylor School in Chattanooga. They beat Nashville Lipscomb Academy 34-31. That is linebacker Edwin Spillman's school. So Max gets over on Spillman there. Next up, 4-star Cleveland Glenville tight end Demarion Witten and teammate cornerback Bryce West beat John Adams on Friday 38-0. Let's talk O-line now. The 4-star out of New Palestine, tackle Ian Moore beat Mount Vernon on Friday, 63-39. New Palestine rushed for 348 yards. Wow. Boys are moving people. Now down to Cincinnati, where Lakewood St. Ed's was on the road. They were taking on Elder. They beat Elder in a very close one, 34-33. Armstrong twins get the victory there behind the running game. Next up, 3-star Toledo Central Catholic O-lineman Mark Nave. They beat Brother Rice up in Detroit, 33-7. Well, that was in Toledo, but Brother Rice out of Detroit. Sean's son's school got the shit kicked out of him. Then you got on the defensive side of the ball, we got 5-star Chicago St. Ignatius defensive tackle Justin Scott. They lost to the Chicago Brother Rice. 2 Brother Rices, different cities. Weird, I know. Anyway, they lost 28-6. Buford, Georgia, they were off. They had a bye this week, so no action for Edric Houston. Linebacker from Big Walnut, Garrett Stover, they lost to Hayes out of Delaware, 38-31. Four-star linebacker from Lovejoy High School in Lucas, Texas, Peyton Pierce, they lost to North Crowley on Friday, 43-20. Cornerbacks, four-star corner from Springfield, Aaron Scott Jr., they lost to Huber Heights out of Wayne, 27-22. And four-star out of Chandler, Basha High School, cornerback Miles Lockhart, they beat Saguaro 35-31. Smoke yourself a big saguaro after that win. And then safety, four-star out of Seton Hall Prep, Jalen McLean was also on a bye this week. So that's your future Buckeyes, current commits in action this weekend. Some big numbers coming from that wide receiver group. Shocking, right? No kidding. So let's check on a chat here. What's happening, chat folks? Scrolling back up. Brian Money, what's up? Good to see you. Oh, let me turn on live chat. There we go. Mel Tucker lost, $80 million. Okay. Odysseus says, let's see what Lincoln's got. Frank Caroni, 6. Kyle McCord, B. Devin Brown, C. Frank Caroni says, I heard good things about Lincoln. Jeremiah says, McCord, B. Brown, B. We better keep Brian Hartline. Yep, that's the plan. Tipper, why does Devin keep getting tackled for loss? He's the athletic one, supposedly. Yeah, we're not seeing that. I think he's a little Devin gets a little jittery when he's in the games. It takes him a series or two to get comfortable. We've seen that in both games that he's been in there. There was that narrative put out by the media that Devin Brown was like supposed to be Tim Tebow or something. He's not, but he can move, but he has a good arm on it. But Odysseus says he's not even JT Barrett fast. No, is JT Barrett fast? Was he ever? Frank says, I hate saying this, but Penn State looks good. Odysseus says, how do you say that? They played Delaware, man. Odysseus says they still have Franklin and his 1-14 big game record. Exactly. Wait till he plays somebody. Temper says McCord is the man, but Devin still needs reps. Right. But at some point you have to give somebody the first team reps in practice. You can't keep going 50-50 and splitting the first team reps. Otherwise you're screwing the team. You got to give one of the quarterbacks 100% of the reps with the first team offense. Otherwise you're holding them back. Frank says, very true. I cannot stand Franklin. Is Pickerington close to Dublin? I don't know. Relatively. Odysseus says, I do feel Dave made a mistake bothering with Ewers, who was going to Texas instead of an in-state Aller in 22. I think Ryan Day knew that was just a money thing. That was an NIL grab because Ewers knew he couldn't get that in Texas because of their state laws. He knew he could get it in Ohio. He barely practiced. He went home at least a couple times. He was homesick, they said, during fall camp. He was only here 3 months. He came right before fall camp. So he was never really a Buckeye, in my opinion. I hope nobody tries to claim him. Frank says, Odysseus, why could we not keep Quinn Ewers? Was it money? Yep. Kombucha. Odysseus says Texas was his dream school. He just didn't like Tom Herman. Yeah, he's not alone there. Herman's a weirdo. Odysseus says he committed to us when Herman was still Texas coach. Yep. And yes, we did win the Natty with Herman, but Herman had designs on being a head coach elsewhere and just couldn't get out of his own way. Kind of acted like a moron sometimes, giving the middle finger to the cameras on draft day or whatever that was. So, yeah, now Herman's at FAU, so we'll see what happens there. What else? What else is happening? What else you guys want to talk about? We got some recruiting's kind of quiet. You know, these home games will bring in some recruits. I do have a list here of visitors and which weekends they will be here. Where is that? Okay. Youngstown State. So the other guys that were here on campus for the Youngstown State game on Saturday, you had 2024 Indiana offensive line commit Ian Moore, 2024 Ohio running back commit Sam Williams-Dixon, 2024 Ohio linebacker commit Garrett Stover, 2024 Ohio corner Aaron Scott Jr., 2024 Ohio corner Bryce West. You did have some 25 guys in here. A receiver out of Florida in the 25 class, Dallas Wilson. He's currently an Oregon commit. He was here on Saturday. Then you got, of course, Tavius St. Clair. He's coming like every weekend. The 25 Ohio quarterback. Got some other interesting 2025 guys here that aren't committed. Ohio running back Marquise Davis. He's a really good one. Ohio running back Michael Taylor, Ohio D lineman Jamel Ham, Ohio defensive back Dorian Brew. He's a Buckeye legacy. And then you had some 2026 guys. Going back here to some of the upcoming visits, we got for the Western Kentucky game, just Tavius St. Clair is on the board right now as coming in, the 25 Ohio quarterback. For Maryland, coming up in October, you got from Washington, D.C., 2024 tackle Jordan Seaton. He's down in IMG Academy in Florida. And then you got Tavius St. Clair coming back to 25. And then you got a 25 Indiana DB Mark Zachary for the Maryland game. For the Penn State game, this is a big one. You got three of the South Florida guys. You got 2024 Florida wide receiver Chance Robinson, currently a Miami commit. Then you got Jeremiah Smith returning. Then you got 2024 Florida wide receiver and teammate of Jeremiah Smith, JoJo Trader. He's coming up. Then this is an interesting one. 2024 edge rusher out of Chicago, Illinois, Marquise Lightfoot. Current Miami commit, snubbed the Buckeyes back on his commitment day. He's going to be on campus. So that's a big one. Look for, we'll see how Miami's doing by then. That's October 21st. So Miami could be in the shitter by then. Who knows? Then you got some other 25 guys here. Florida wide receiver Nashawn Montgomery, California linebacker Noah McHale, Georgia DB Devin Williams, Maryland DB Blake Woodby, Texas DB Devin Sanchez, and yeah, that's it. Oh, Tavius St. Clair, of course, will be back for that game. So, yeah, that Penn State game is going to be a huge one. Be nice to get one or two commits out of that. They would probably have to be flips, obviously. Odysseus, yeah, that's a good point. Ed Warner is their O-line coach. Yeah. Frank asks, how do you think we will do against Western Kentucky high-powered offense? I think we're going to do fine. I would expect some points to be scored. The defense is going to, defense is good, but without getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, it's going to, a lot of pressure is going to be on the secondary. They've got their number one receiver back. He was injured in week 1, Malachi Corley. He's going to be back for this game. Their quarterback's good. He's mobile and throws it a lot. I went through the stats last night on the live show of how often they complete. They attempt a lot of passes, but their completion percentage is not that high. It's like under 60%, just under. And their yards per catch is only like 12, around 12 yards a catch. So we'll see. I think the Buckeye defense, this is going to be a challenge that they haven't really seen in a long time. So expect Burke, Hancock, Igbinosun, a lot is going to be on their shoulders, and the deep safeties. Those guys are going to have to come out, and we may have to go with a dime package where we bring maybe Jair Brown in as an extra corner, not Cam Martinez, not Cam Martinez in the slot. No, not a nickel safety, nothing. Odysseus says D-line needs to get pressure and sacks. Exactly. They get the ball out relatively quickly, but there's going to be opportunities there for the D-line. DN's got to get in there. Temper, yeah, I agree, Temper. They'll test our secondary for sure. Odysseus, I'm hopeful Burke is becoming that shutdown corner that locks up half the field. It's looking that way. Yep, Frank agrees. Burke is looking good. Temper says, yeah, I don't trust Martinez at safety. No. How many times do we have to see him get dusted on that deep fade out of the slot? Odysseus says that's why Jimbo screwing up hurt us in recruiting. Yeah, you're talking about Lightfoot, yeah, and Chance Robinson, yeah, the Miami commits. I know. Yeah, that was like a half-empty stadium too down in Miami. But they cannot get people to those games. Oof. Hey, while I got you, before you guys bounce out of here, please hit the like button. I appreciate it. Helps others find the show. Odysseus says Martinez can see him see if he can return punts. Yeah, I'm good with that. Played quarterback in high school, so he's used to having the ball in his hands. I have no problem with Cam back there, but I'm not sure they're going to do it. They like Emeka back there because he's reliable. You know, Emeka is also a former baseball coach or baseball center fielder, so he can track those balls. You know, he's used to those fly balls, pop-ups and stuff. So no, Frank, they cannot draw flies in Miami. Check that. Okay. I think we'll just go for a couple more minutes. Throat's getting a little raspy today. Got film breakdowns coming up this week. I'm going to focus on DNs. That'll be coming out like Wednesday or Thursday. We got the Ryan Day press conference tomorrow. He usually does that around 11:30 or 12. So I'll have that for you. And Jim Knowles will also be speaking. Typically they do both. And then we'll have highlights from that press conference this week and film breakdown. Yeah, like I said, I think I'll focus on the DNs. I want to see what's going on up there, why we're not getting any pressure. So I'll have video for you guys of that. And what else? Offense, we need to focus on O-line, the run protection. We've got issues there. Only ran for like, 130 on Saturday, 125, something like that. So Odysseus says, what exactly does Parker Fleming do? Is that like the Office Space? What exactly would you say you do here when they meet with the Bobs? Yeah, Parker Fleming. He helps in recruiting. He supposedly helped get Justin Scott out of Chicago because Chicago is Parker Fleming's one of his regions. So apparently he helped that relationship. So I don't know. Other than special teams, that's about it. He's definitely not doing much. Maybe he gets Ryan Day's coffee and Jim Knowles. Supposedly he helps out with the DBs too, like the corners and the safeties, but I don't think he's actually doing much coaching there. I think it's just, again, kind of like a secretary. I don't know. Small town Texas scratcher, what's up? Good to see you. What happened to Saban? LOL. He lost. And he has no quarterback. That's what happens when you go to the portal and the only thing left in there is a Tyler Buckner. Yikes. Jalen Milroe. He's a big kid, big dude. He can run, but maybe he runs a little too often, takes off a little too early, leaves a clean pocket when he should maybe stay in there and wait for a play to develop. But yeah. But the thing is, they probably won't lose a game the rest of the year until maybe the SEC championship, if they make it, but again, everything's in front of them. Losing early in the season doesn't really screw you. Now, what happens with Texas is a good question. Yeah. Small town Texas scratcher. That's a long username. He says, wish we still had Ewers, but McCord is coming around. Yeah. McCord was a 5-star too. He wasn't a perfect prospect like Quinn Ewers, but few are. Odysseus says that Milroe is a faster Joe Milton. Yeah, he's got a cannon, but you don't know where it's going sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, quarterback run and then big play, big deep pass. That's the Bama offense right now. Running backs aren't doing a whole lot. They got like 2 5-stars at least back there with Justice Haynes and was it Craig Young? They got Craig Young, I think. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I think Bama could theoretically still get into the playoffs. See how that conference as a whole is in the dump right now, except for Georgia, obviously, but they haven't played anybody. But yeah, the SEC is getting their ass kicked weekly. What's the ACC, like 4-1 against the SEC? Yeah, that's not good, Bob. We'll see. But that depending on what happens with Texas, you can hear it right now. I can hear the talking heads on ESPN saying, "Oh, Alabama lost to Texas." They're going to say this like week 10. That was a quality loss. That term quality loss is always lingering out there for an Alabama that loses, early in the season like this. So I love that term, quality loss. Ask Saban if that was a quality loss. Kicking in nuts. Yeah. Yeah, Odysseus, he says Georgia has a bye week till they go to Tennessee. That's still not going to be a tough game. Yeah, JT and Jack are not getting home. It's really frustrating. But I'm going to focus on that with my film breakdown this week. I have some video for you guys to check out and see what is really going on there. They're lining JT up out really wide sometimes, like outside of the tackle, where a tight end might be. It's called a 9 technique. So they're lining JT way out there, and so his rush is basically way up the field where a quarterback could just easily step up and avoid him easily. Or if they run, the wide 9, exactly. And, if they run the ball, JT is way out of position. There's no way you can crash down and especially if he's engaged with somebody and make a tackle. So yeah, we'll focus on that this week. DNs and O-line, some trenches talk about the big slobs on both sides of the ball, because we got some running blocking issues, run blocking issues. Pass blocking is much better this week, and it's been pretty solid, but still got some running game issues. Odysseus says the Youngstown State quarterback average 2.2. I can't read that. That's 2.2 seconds per pass attempt. That's fast. That's getting the ball out quickly. And that's going to negate any kind of pass rush, really. So I'm not surprised that it's that quick. We saw the same thing with Indiana when they weren't running the triple option. They were dropping back and getting rid of the ball real quick on short routes. So yeah, I think that's probably a recipe for teams going forward, to just get rid of that ball quickly. And they only had I want to say 25, 26 pass attempts this week. Indiana had 21 or something like that last week. So it's not like we're facing something like we're going to face this week. We're going to see 50 pass attempts, probably, maybe more, depending on how long they had the ball. So yeah, this week's game against WKU is going to be very different. So don't forget, hit the like button, please, and thank you. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go rest my voice. I got a gargly throat today. I need to gargle on some bourbon, probably. Don't be afraid to share the show, and of course, hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed in there. And Wednesday. What are we talking about on Wednesday? It's a good question. What do we do on Wednesdays? I'm thinking we'll talk about maybe the defense. We'll see what Jim Knowles has to say in his press conference. Maybe there's some nuggets in there. I want to know why Malik Hartford started the game but got pulled quickly after that, or was it injury? That's one question. Jahad Carter played quite a bit this week, but not in week one. Proctor was out, I assume, because of injury. He had ice on his ankle after the Indiana game. So, yeah. So, yeah, I got some things we need to address on Wednesday's show about the defense. So, Odysseus brings up a good point. JT and Jack Hall and Tyleek need to get their arms up, maybe bat down a few balls. Yeah. I think by that quick 2.2 second drop back, I don't know if they even realize the ball's coming out that quickly. I know they should be paying attention to what the quarterback's doing while they're rushing, but maybe it's just coming out too quick for them. They're like, Jesus, ball's already by their heads. I'm sure they're not used to that quick 2.2 second drop back. But yeah, tomorrow we got stats and the grades for the defense on the Daily Blitz tomorrow morning. So check that out. And film breakdown coming like Wednesday or Thursday. Friday, as usual, 5 keys to a Buckeye victory. And hopefully this secondary is up to the task. I'm a little concerned about the deep safety. Seeing a little bit of some holes there. But anyways, I'm going to bounce out of here. Please hit like before you go, and I appreciate it. Talk to you guys later. Go Bucks.